Hello, and welcome to Jeweled History. I am your host, Christina, and today we examine something I thought was lost to time. One of the most moving relics in Christian tradition, the Crown of Thorns. We begin with the crown itself, its material and construction, then follow the path from notorious betrayal to the crucifixion, across centuries of travel, into the hands of Napoleon, and through the modern inferno and restoration of the Notre Dame Cathedral. 2,000 years ago, in the hills around Jerusalem, a thorny plant grew and still grows wild in Judea, Ziziphus spina Christi. Roman soldiers gathered these flexible spiny branches with long sharp points and twisted them by hand into a crude circlet. The result is not ornate gold, but a simple, painful cap of thorns pressed firmly onto the head. This act of mockery, turning kingship into ridicule, followed directly from the chain of betrayal and Roman punishment. It began with the notorious betrayal of disciple Judas Iscariot. During the Last Supper, Jesus foretold one disciple would betray him. In secret, Judas agreed to hand Jesus over to the chief priest for 30 pieces of silver. Later that night, in the Garden of Gethsemane, sent by chief priests and elders, Judas approached with a crowd armed with swords and clubs. Judas identified Jesus with a kiss, a customary greeting twisted into treachery. The Roman soldiers then seized and arrested Jesus. The Jewish leaders, the Sanhedrin, held trials overnight, first before Annas and then Caiaphas, the high priest, where false witnesses accused Jesus of blasphemy for claiming to be the Son of God. The Sanhedrin condemned him to death, but lacked authority to execute. Early the next morning, now Good Friday, Jesus was bound and delivered to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate questioned Jesus in the Praetorium, the official residence of the Roman governor, about being King of the Jews. Jesus affirmed his kingship was not of this world. Pontius Pilate found no fault and sought to release him, offering Barabbas instead via Roman custom. Barabbas was a notorious prisoner, described in the Gospels as an insurrectionist who had committed murder during a rebellion against Roman rule. Yet, the crowd demanded Jesus instead and refused release. Pressured by the crowd, the governor then ordered scourging, a Roman flogging with a whip embedded with bone and metal that deeply tore flesh. After this torment, the soldiers escalated the humiliation. They stripped Jesus, draped him in a scarlet or purple robe as false royal attire, placed a reed in his hand as a mock scepter, and set the thorn crown upon his head. They knelt before him, spat, struck the crown to drive the thorns deeper, and cried, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Pontius Pilate presented the wounded figure to the crowd. Behold the man. Yielding to the pressure of the priests and the crowd, he sentenced Jesus to crucifixion. After the events of Good Friday, tradition holds that early followers preserved the crown in Jerusalem. Pilgrims continued to venerate it in Jerusalem into the late 4th century. By the 10th or 11th century, it reaches Constantinople, joining the Byzantine imperial treasure. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 disrupts everything. Constantinople falls, and the Latin Empire inherits enormous debt. Emperor Baldwin II pawns the relic to Venetian merchants. 34 years later, in 1238, deeply pious King Louis IX of France sends envoys to redeem it. To secure the crown outright, King Louis pays an astonishing sum, equivalent to nearly half of France's annual royal budget. On August 19, 1239, the relic arrives in Paris. Louis himself, barefoot and in simple robes, carries it through the streets. Thousands line the way, singing hymns, moved by the sight of their king, humbling himself before this symbol of divine kingship. The procession pauses first at Notre Dame Cathedral for veneration, then continues to the royal palace. King Louis commissions a masterpiece to house it, the Sainte-Chapelle. Completed in 1248, this jewel-box chapel dazzles with walls of colored glass, a visual telling of the salvation history. The crown rests in the upper chapel, surrounded by other relics, a fragment of the true cross, a nail from the Passion. In the Sainte-Chapelle era, the crown was protected in ornate reliquaries suited to its sanctity. Early holders were often simple for processions, but displays featuring crystal rings or cases mounted with gilt bronze leaves, precious metals, and gems to symbolize holiness. Individual thorns, detached soon after arrival in France, were enshrined separately in lavish gold reliquaries enriched with enamel, pearls, rubies, sapphires, and rock crystal, such as the famous Holy Thorn reliquary made around 1390 for Jean, Duke of Berry, a masterpiece of ronde de bosse enameling with three-dimensional figures. The main circlet, now thornless, remained in protective setups within the chapel's grand treasury space. For over 5 centuries, it draws pilgrims, kings, and the faithful. Centuries later, the French Revolution erupts in 1789. Sacred treasures face seizure and destruction. The crown is removed from Sainte-Chapelle for safekeeping, stored briefly at Saint-Denis, then the Hôtel des Monnaies, the Royal Mint, and later the National Library. Many relics perish, but the Crown of Thorns endures. Napoleon Bonaparte enters the story here. As France's first consul, he seeks national unity after revolutionary turmoil. In 1801, he negotiates the Concordat, a formal agreement between the French state and the Holy See, specifically the Concordat of 1801 with Pope Pius VII, restoring Catholic practice in France and returning confiscated church property. This pragmatic accord heals divisions and secures political support. Under its provisions, the crown returns to ecclesiastical custody. Before we reflect on this journey, a quiet pause. If you appreciate explorations of the past's hidden jewels, please like this video and subscribe, because unlike this beauty, a subscription to Jeweled History is free. And thank you to my newest viewers and returning subscribers. Now let us continue. On August 10, 1806, the relic is placed in Notre Dame's cathedral's treasury, its enduring home. Napoleon commissions an ornate reliquary to safeguard and honor the now thornless circlet. This restoration shifts the crown from hidden storage to public veneration. In the 1840s, during the cathedral's restoration under architect Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, a striking neo-Gothic reliquary was crafted around 1862, featuring rock crystal for visibility, gilded elements, foliage, motifs, and gemstones in grand monstrance style. Then, in 1896, goldsmith Rousand, following designs by architect Jules Godefroy-Ostrog, crafted the enduring protective case, a hollow tube of rock crystal adorned with an open-work garland of flowers, leaves, fruits, and thorns, gold clasp-joined sections topped with enamel seals bearing images of saints. Donated by the faithful of the Paris diocese, this crystal and gold tube preserved the circlet for over a century. The crown remains at Notre Dame through the ages. Then, on April 15, 2019, fire engulfs the Notre Dame Cathedral during renovation. The roof and spire collapse in flames. Chaplain Jean-Marc Fournier and firefighters rescue the crown and other relics amid the smoke, fire, and chaos. Restoration unfolds over nearly 6 years. Nearly $1 billion in global donations pour into the fund for the effort. Thousands of artisans rebuild the oak frame with native timber. Reconstruct the spire exactingly. Clean stonework, repair vaults, and integrate modern safety protocols. Notre Dame reopens December 2024, renewed and luminous. The Crown of Thorns returns to a new reliquary in the axial chapel. This monumental altarpiece-like screen, about 10 feet tall and wide, features gilded cedar wood evoking Byzantine design, a marble altar base, and a central gilded disc with 396 handcrafted glass blocks reflecting light against the ultramarine blue background. Gilded bronze thorns adorn the notched panels, while the 1896 crystal and gold tube nests securely within, glowing in reverence. Today, the Crown of Thorns is displayed for veneration every Friday from 3 to 6:30 p.m. On the first Friday of each month, special veneration occurs from 3 to 5 p.m. Additional times apply during Lent and on Good Friday. Entry to the cathedral is free, though reservations are strongly recommended via the official Notre Dame app or website. Since reopening, more than 11 million visitors have entered in the first full year, with daily averages of 30,000 to 35,000 and peaks exceeding 40,000 people. Notre Dame now stands as France's most visited monument, drawing pilgrims and tourists worldwide in record numbers. The Crown of Thorns starts as a tool of mockery, woven from Judean thorns. It survives crucifixion, empires, royal devotion, revolutionary peril, Napoleon's restoration, and a modern inferno. It emerges in a cathedral that welcomes millions annually, cradled through the centuries in reliquaries of crystal, gold, enameled gems, and now gilded cedar, each one a testament to enduring reverence. Its deeper invitation remains: thorns as an emblem of the curse of man, borne by Jesus to lift that burden by ultimate sacrifice. One man's suffering becomes grace extended to the world. The Crown of Thorns reminds us that true royalty appears in sacrifice and love that redeems.